This is the Luxury Travel Innovators podcast, and I'm your host, Adam Deflorian, founder and CEO of AZDS. Join me as I talk to the most influential leaders in the hospitality industry and get a first-class look into the world of luxury travel. Let's take off. Today I talk with James Henderson, CEO of Exclusive Resorts, the world's foremost members-only club specializing in luxury travel and curated experiences. He previously served as president of commercial operations at ExoJet and VistaJet and president and CEO of the Americas for the Ferretti Group. His vision is to further cement Exclusive Resorts' position as the world's elite private vacation club by way of portfolio growth, strategic partnerships, and an elevated member experience. Thanks for joining me at Luxury Travel Innovators podcast, James. It's great to see you again. It's been a while since we met at ExoJet. It's hard to believe that you've been here now at Exclusive Resorts for going on 6 years, right?
That's right. Yes. Thanks very much for having us on. It's great to be here.
Tell us a little more about Exclusive Resorts and the overall model here.
So Exclusive has been around for about 20 years, and we're a private membership community. We do about 20,000 vacations a year, and we operate about $1 billion worth of real estate, or just over. We own about $770 million of that. And we offer programs for our members who can travel in the homes. We have about 325 homes, and we offer really two sort of levels of membership. We offer a 10-year membership and a 30-year membership. And when you join for the 10 or 30-year period, and then you get a certain number of days that you use per year within the system. And so you can use it anywhere within the residences. And also we have a whole range of experiences as well that we operate. And the experiences are really a range of different things. We do probably about 38 departures on about 10 itineraries per year, all members-only trips. So the premise of Exclusive Resorts is really about, our whole goal is really helping our members live richer lives and finding ways to travel, find ways to do great experiences, to vacation better. And that's really sort of the premise of what we do.
And I think, the concept of Exclusive Resorts, right, from its infancy and its birth was innovative. Obviously, the podcast is all about innovation in travel. And sometimes in travel, we find the industry to be a bit behind. How have you sort of evolved Exclusive Resorts from when you've taken over from an innovation perspective?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we started out, I think back in the day, really, if you look at the original sort of idea for Exclusive back when it started in sort of 2003, it was just a better way to travel and travel in homes. And it was access to villas and homes. And the sort of people that were using it were people that were really traveling with families. They wanted to travel with friends, and they didn't really want to stay in a hotel. They wanted access to villas. And it took away the sort of the inconsistencies of short-term rentals. If you're traveling with a short-term rental, you could have an amazing experience and you could have a terrible experience, and sometimes you never really know where you're going to be with something like that. And typically, if you're traveling with your family and you've got 20 people with you or 10 people with you, you want it to be this really great experience that you're going to have. And so when Exclusive was founded, the idea was to provide access to this incredible network of homes that were in all these amazing places, but provide that really high level of service and high-touch experience. And that was the goal of it, and that's where it developed, and that's how it's evolved over the years. We've changed that a little bit probably in the last 10 years. This predates when I joined, but about 10 years ago, we started doing more experiences, because what we found was that members liked staying in the homes, and all the homes that we have, they're in fantastic locations, but we found that people wanted to get outside of that network. So they wanted to go to Japan, or they wanted to go to Australia, or they wanted to go to far-flung places, and we started putting these once-in-a-lifetime journeys and experiences together. And this was kind of a unique thing because it took members to these locations, group travel trips, members would meet each other as part of this. And that's something that I think, for me, has really evolved, and we've really capitalized on that in the last 5 years. We were sort of like a vacation club in the early days, and now we're very much a membership community. And I think the thing that makes it so different, and the thing that I love about it, is you get to meet these incredible people who have done these incredible things, and they've traveled, and that sort of bonds people and brings people together. But the cool part about it is everyone has got a fascinating story, and they're all brought together by travel. And so the club today, I like to say that, people join for the travel, and now they really stay for the community, because we do a lot more community type events. So if you look at the business, initially it was all residences and it was all homes. I think we were probably about 10% experiences, and now we're probably about 70% of the travel, 75% of the travel is in the homes. And then the other 25% is really on all of these other experiences. And these can be everything from the trips out to Japan, Australia, things like that. We do around the world by jet. We've done that for the last 4 years. And then we also do a lot of other things. So we do Formula One, we do Kentucky Derby, we do the Masters. And then we do other series of sort of individualized member events. So I think last year we did 62 member events throughout the year where we brought people together. And these were anything from a bigger sort of event like Take Over the French Laundry, where we do 60 people and we have Thomas Keller hosting with us, all the way down to a simple, dinner or a wine tasting. It's evolved a lot, and I think the really cool thing about what we do is it's just a very interesting and fascinating community and group of people that you get to connect with, and it's very much a club and very much a membership community, much more than the travel platform.
It's fascinating. So you're moving more towards sort of that community model where people can connect one-on-one, right? Rather than just using it for a purpose such as travel. So it was like very purpose-built, true travel type organization where you had access to villas and potentially, residences at properties, at hotel properties. And now it's really the full experience model that is far more connection-based.
Yeah, when we found this as we've evolved it, I think, when I first came out, I don't think I really understood the level of community. We'd see how much members were traveling with us in these non-core portfolio. And then what we found is that, as we've got to the member base more and we've done research, we found that members are spending, we think, somewhere between 150 to $200 million a year on travel outside of the club as well. So the goal for us is how do we get more of that? And so we started doing a lot of other things. We did a very cool partnership with Rosewood about 18 months ago, where we've built this whole hotel collection and other brands in that area. And that's really helped us evolve the portfolio. We have a European villa program that we do, where we bring in about 16 European villas every year. And that's very seasonal. So that starts in sort of May time, runs through till about October. But it develops the portfolio and it gives us flexibility. And then we've done a lot of these other sort of events and things. And then the other thing we've started looking at is building travel platforms. So travel desks where we can do flights and we do fully curated trips. We have another part of our business, which is private journeys, where they're curated itineraries, but you go with your family when you want to go. So we set the itinerary for you. So now the goal for us now is that you can have this really seamless range of travel options that go from everything from the villas and the homes all the way through to these incredible experiences where you get to go and meet other members.
How do you get to know your members and curate experiences for them from a technology perspective? Or do you do it just one-to-one, just getting to know them with a personal advisor? Do you have like some sort of CRM system that you're able to really know what your members are looking for so you don't have to ask them the same types of questions and can help curate the experience for them?
Yeah, I'd like to give you an answer that is very sophisticated, but we're not quite there yet. We started out, I think, part of the model, if you look at sort of the value proposition of really what we do, it falls into a number of categories. And one of it is very much this relationship-based connections that we have with our members. Mm-hmm. When you join Exclusive Resorts, we give you what we call a vacation ambassador, and that person gets to know you. We get to know how you travel, where you travel, what you eat, what you like. Are you a planner? Are you someone that's spontaneous? So we really get a sense of how we can curate things for you. And we'll start planning out your travel over a sort of a 2-year period. And that's a very personalized thing. And also, even as part of the sort of the process when we bring new members on board, we bring about 200 new member families in the club per year or just under that. And we try to limit that because we need to make sure we have enough availability when they come. So when people do come on board, and also most of the new members that join us, I would say about 80% of those know an existing member. So it really keeps the network. So when people come in, they've got a good idea of what they're coming into. We also know quite a lot about people when they first come in. So then we can start curating travel. And then when you go into destination, we have concierges in destination, and these people reach out maybe 6 or 8 weeks before you go to the destination, and we'll start planning your trip. And already at that point, we kind of know, so we know what your preferences are, we know what you like, we know what sort of things you like to do. So we'll put a custom itinerary for you. A lot of that so far has been a very manual process. Okay. But what we've also found is we have a ton of data information. So when you think people traveling with us, our members travel with us probably 24, 25 days a year. Okay. So when someone travels that amount with you, you really get to know people really well. And a lot of members have been with us for 10 or 15 years. So we've seen generational travel. Initially, a lot of this knowledge was sort of in the minds of the member services team. We've gone through a process over the last 2 or 3 or 4 years where we've started to collate that information much more effectively so we can start to use that and use it more effectively. So we have a pretty robust Salesforce system that we use where we gather information. But there's certainly an opportunity for us to evolve that. And we're starting now to think about how we layer in AI to that. So we started that project about 2 months ago. And then the other thing that we're looking at doing is we're looking at creating affinity clusters for members where we start to look at what are their specific interests. So if you like photography or golf or wine, we want to know, and not just if you like wine, we want to know, are you someone that likes to spend $1,500 on a bottle of DRC, or are you okay with $200 or $50? Where are you in the spectrum? And if we know that, we can start to curate things for you much more effectively. And I think there's a huge opportunity for us to layer in AI into that. So we're starting to look at ways where we can use the information that we have of members, and we can provide much more customized itineraries and much more customized suggestions to them.
You beat me to it, because what I was going to say is, how does the ambassador essentially become an AI ambassador
Yeah.
that then evolves, still doesn't separate from that human to human interaction, because that's critical, but takes them away from some of the mundane and things that AI could replace,
Yep.
still, giving them that personalized attention, and at the same time being able to automate so much of probably what they do that could be done quicker probably by an AI tool.
I think there's a huge opportunity with that. And I think, that the area that I'm excited about us going forward, I'm very passionate about the community element of what we do.
Yeah.
And this is something that I think we are incredibly unique as a company and a brand. I mean, we have 4,850 member families, average liquid assets across our membership base per family is about $24-25 million. And so we have access to some incredible people that are incredible things.
Absolutely.
And when you think about where they are today, they're all mostly, when you look across the member base, they're people that are at a point in their lives where they've done well financially, they're looking to travel, they're looking to explore, they have time to do that. And when you can put these people together in a room and you can connect them, it's magical. I mean, one of the things I love most, I have an amazing job, I really love what I do. One of the things I enjoy the most about it is the member interactions. And some of my closest friends today are people that I've met through the club who are members. And I get to sit down with them and I get to hear their stories. And everyone's got these remarkable journeys they've been on. So for me, if we can find ways, and given the relationships that we have with members and given the connections that we have and what we know about them, if we can find ways to connect people around passions, hobbies, interests, or shared travel experiences and things like that, you start to create this it's almost like it's not virtual because we do it live, but it's a community that's almost like a virtual country club.
Yeah.
Because that's what people join country clubs for. They join for the sport, but they join it for the community and the people they meet. And if we can do this, we have this amazing platform to connect people on this basis. So that's really where we're going. And I think there's just so much more that we can do. And we have a member base already. So now it's a case of what are the other things that we can build and we can develop to start serving these members more effectively, just for their other travel, but other interests that are outside travel as well.
Yeah. Do you have an international member base, or is it primarily all United States?
Primarily US, yeah. It's 97% of our members are in the United States.
Okay.
We have about 240 members in Canada.
Okay.
And then we have 40 in Mexico, mainly in Monterrey.
And do you have plans to then, is there opportunity internationally in Europe and Asia to potentially add to the base?
There is, but I still believe very strongly that we are fairly underpenetrated in the US market.
Okay.
I think we've been on the process in the last 5 years to kind of reinvent the brand a little bit. Not reinvent it. We've sort of evolved it, I think is a better way of putting it. And I think there's just so much potential when you think of the amount of wealth in the US, and where people are, and have the sort of the baby boomer generation that are empty nesters. They're traveling, spending. And a lot of them, it's almost like they're reliving their 20s or their 30s, right?
Right.
When they want to go out and they want to meet people and they want to spend and they want to have fun. So I think we have a huge opportunity to continue to expand the business in North America. And for us also going into Europe and places like that, the product would have to pivot a little bit for us to be in Europe.
Okay.
Because like a lot of the members today, if you think about the bases where we are, we're in obviously the major sort of centers where you would think tri-state, we're in Dallas, Houston, we're in Bay Area, we're in Southern California, Midwest, and people want destinations from there where they can get to relatively easily. Yeah. And so they want things, if they're traveling 25 days a year with us, they're going to do a series of trips which are relatively easy within a sort of a 3-hour flight. And then they'll do a couple of bucket list trips every year. And these might be the experiences, or they might be going out to stay in some of the villas in Tuscany or in France or in Paris or in London. And if we set up in Europe, we would have to think about a model that just has a bit more of a robust platform of residence. Not to say we wouldn't do it. I think we probably would, but I just think there's just so much we can still do.
Yeah, you would need to expand inventory to make it easier access for them, right? How do you manage inventory now? How do you ensure that the member base isn't getting to a point where it's challenging to book based on available inventory at your partners and the villas that you own and the real estate that you own?
So we do a couple of ways. One is we measure it very carefully. We have a whole team that does asset utilization. We look at how we can optimize the homes. Our model is a sort of a unique model because it's a fixed price model.
Okay.
So we don't dynamically price. So when you come in, you pay your initiation, which is for a 10-year membership is probably around $250,000. And then after that, you get to travel in the club based on the number of days that you put in. What we try to do is we don't dynamically price, we can't sort of drive demand. So what we'll do is we look at where people are traveling, when they're traveling. We try to make sure we've got a really good balance across beach locations, mountain locations, metro locations. So that's something that we're quite cautious in terms of ensuring that we're optimizing the utilization of the homes, but not getting into sort of like the red line where we have too much occupancy, so there is still enough availability in the system. And then we're also adding as well. So we do, for every 20 families that we bring in at least one home. And then we have all the experiences as well, which are much more flexible. You can adjust those based on demand. So we spend a lot of time looking at just where we want to be.
Yeah.
And so the other thing that I think is unique about our model, and one of the things from an operational perspective, in some places we have a few places where we have single homes, but for the most part we need to have a minimum of 4 homes in one location, because that's the best way to optimize the model. Because we have full-time concierges on site. Yeah, so we have people that provision the homes. They put the wine in, they put the food in into the homes, and so we need a number of people on staff on the ground at every single location that we're in. And to do that with less than 4 homes is a very difficult thing. And then we go all the way to places like Costa Rica, where we have 21 homes in one location. We run a resort. So that's kind of how we look at it. And then we also have we have an ability to kind of flex a little bit. So I mentioned the partnership we have with Rosewood, which has been incredibly successful. We launched that last year, I think. It was beginning of last year, and we brought in, I think, 14 different hotels in different locations. And that was a great thing, because what it also meant was there's sort of smaller footprints where you get upgraded to this beautiful suite. And if you're traveling if it's just a couple or 2 couples that are traveling, we can provide that. And we can move the different locations around with that based on demand to ensure that we're continuing to keep the inventory fresh.
Also, I would assume that it's extremely challenging in certain times, right? Like festive, where you want to be in St. Bart's and there's only so much inventory,
Yep.
and you probably have a lot of members that want that or travel there annually, right? So how do you guys manage that, around festive periods?
You have to remember that we're a shared usage model, and that's part of one of the value proposition elements, right? So, when you look at this, you're paying $1,750 a night for these amazing homes. So if you end up in one of the bluff-top homes in Anguilla and you're there over festive and you're paying $1,750 a night and your neighbor's paying $12,000 or $15,000 a night, you lucked out.
Yeah.
Right? You're not always going to get that home for every New Year or every Christmas, but we'll get you a beach vacation. We'll get you something in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And so that's something that you have to measure a little bit. And it's the same with ski. We have, I think, 10 or 11 properties up in Arabelle, in Vale, and also in Beaver Creek. And if you're there for President's Weekend, you've lucked out. You've done really well, but you're not always going to get that. But we will get you a vacation, a ski vacation. So there's a little bit of flexibility with that you have to realize coming in. But that sort of, if you look across the sort of the tenets of our value proposition, the value of what you're getting for what you're paying is absolutely huge.
Yeah,
especially with hotel prices today. I mean, hotel prices have gone up so much. You'll spend. I was in Little Ix Bay last year, and we have these incredible bluff-top villas at the top of the Rosewood in Little Ix Bay. And the people in there, you're spending probably $1,500 a night for a hotel, plus taxes, plus resort fees. And then you in one of our homes, and you spend pretty much the same.
For more space.
That's right, more space, exactly right, with your family.
With your family. Talk to me a little bit more about some of the experiences by air and sea.
Yep.
We've covered a lot about the product, the community, what brings people to exclusive resorts now, especially, right, is that sense of community. So what do those look like? What is the by air, by private jet, and by sea? What does that really entail?
So on the experiences side, we do about 38 departures on about 10 different itineraries, or 35 or 36 on about 10 different itineraries per year. Most of these that we do are sort of smaller group trips where we take groups of maybe 10 couples or 20, and we'll do several different departures on the same itinerary. And they're much more intimate. You tend to go with smaller groups and things like that. We also do a few bigger trips per year. So pretty much every year we'll do 1 or 2 cruise type trips. We did the Arctic last year. We took a Lindblad ship, one of their newest ships that they have, which is absolutely fantastic, the resolution. And we had 130 members on the ship, and we're going up the Arctic looking for polar bears. And it's incredible. You fly into Oslo, we fly up to Longyearbyen, and then you get in the ship and you literally go on this expedition. Yeah. And the cool part about that is, one, it's a great expedition because it's an adventure. Yeah. The second thing is you're on a ship just with Exclusive Resorts members, and you can literally walk through the ship, and every single person you meet is a member. And there's this cool thing that you can sit down with someone, and the first question is, well, how long have you been a member? What's your favorite destination? And you're off the races. And you have this connection, and you start bonding and you're connecting. And what happens over a week, you see it, is that when people are on the ship, they find their people. Yeah. And you see couples that get to know each other that haven't met before, and they hang out with each other. And we do a fun thing at the beginning of the trips where we sort of highlight people who've done a lot of once-in-a-lifetime trips. People who've done like 10 or 15 or 20 once-in-a-lifetime trips. So you can go to those people and get suggestions. So these are trips where we take a lot of members and we put them on one ship. We also did last year, we booked a seaborne ship last year where we took 450 members. And we went down we started in Lisbon, we went down through Algarve, we went to Tangier, we did Ibiza, Mallorca, and ended up in Barcelona. And again, it's the same thing, but on a much bigger scale. Right. And against all members on the ship, which is a very cool thing. So we do those every year. We do a couple of those, and usually it's one sort of expedition type of trip. And then for the last 4 or 5 years, we've done around the world in a jet. So we take a 757, we partner with National Geographic, we take 75, 76 members, and we do 9 countries in 21 days. And the cool part about that is, I mean, it's actually a long period, I think 3 weeks on a trip, but it goes by so fast. And we try to do trips like that where we know that like our members are very well-traveled people. Mm-hmm. So we try to take them to places that are just off the beaten track, and you wouldn't necessarily build a whole week around it.
Yeah.
So you take them somewhere where it's like you can tick it off the list, like Easter Island or something. When are you going to go to Easter Island? So the people that do those trips are people already well-traveled, and they just really have this thirst for more and more locations that they can get to. And they're incredible. I mean, the private jet trips that we've done, National Geographic does an amazing job. I mean, it's spectacular. The product's spectacular. The locations we go are amazing. Our team scouts them all out with National Geographic. And we sell this thing out. I think it's like $250,000 a couple for it. And we sell it out within like 24, 48 hours.
Wow.
And for the last 5 years, we've done that every single year.
Sounds like there's more opportunity there to add.
Yeah, I think there is.
Right?
Yeah, there is.
Especially as you continue to grow. So how does it work in regards to partnerships outside of travel? You know, I know that, you know, in the past, we've talked a lot about partnerships.
Yep.
And I'm curious, you know, you have Panerai, you have private medical. How do you work on those partnerships, and how does that work for the members?
I mean, we look for partnerships to do a few things, really. We look for partnerships that will certainly have an affinity with our brand. So we want something that we know that members will connect with, and that we feel is the right sort of brand partners for us to connect with. And that goes both ways. And partnerships for us do 2 or 3 things. One of those is they give us benefits for our members. So one of the greatest partnerships we have is with Avis. We have Chairman's Club. It's a great service. And then we do a series of partnerships like that have very specific benefits with people like private medical and things like that. And then we also have partnerships where are really cross-promotional things where we get reciprocation. So we promote to our partners, they promote to us. We have great partnerships with people like Sentient. Okay. And that works really well. And I'm a big fan of doing partnerships with people that I know, because I think at the end of the day, in the business that we operate in, travel is a business where things go wrong, right? There are things that always go wrong. Things always happen. And I want to ensure that if I put a partner forward that is going to be doing providing something to our members, that if something goes wrong, I can pick up the phone and say, hey, can you fix it?
Yeah.
And that's really, really important. And we've got great partnerships in the private aviation space and a lot of the sort of travel sort of providers that we do. So those are the things that are really important for us in partnerships, and brands that sort of will give members something that's a little bit unique and interesting. And I think there's a whole other area that we can develop from that. As we start to think about more of the sort of the passions, hobbies, and interests, there's things there where we can build things around. We started doing a series of wine partnerships. And again, it's the same sort of thing. I live close to the wine country, and I want to make sure that if I recommend to a member to go and visit Dariush or go to Quintessa or something like that, they're going to be really taken care of.
Yeah.
We were just we took some members up to Dariush a few weeks ago, and it was fantastic. I mean, we were in the cellar. Dariush came down to see us. We've got the head of hospitality, Jody, gives us amazing lunch that they prepared for us. And it's these sort of experiences where you can give someone access to something that it's just hard to get outside. I think you might be able to get it, but it's something that's just, you feel special, you feel unique, you feel cared for. So our goal with partnerships is to lean into relationships where we know that, one, it's a brand that we like and is a fit. We have a great relationship with them, the level of reciprocity to it, but it's also something that our members are going to get a huge benefit from.
I know personally you love a lot of automotive and exotic automotive. What do you have on that front, fun experiences and or brands that you have partnerships with?
So, I mean, I think one of the nicest ones is we do quite a bit of stuff with Monticello Motor Club up in New York, and they're fantastic. I think it's one of the most premier automotive parks in the world, probably. I mean, they do such a nice job. You go in, it feels like a golf course, and it's beautifully manicured, and they do great programs where you can do track days, and we take members up there and we do events and things like that. So those things are really good. And I think we're doing some stuff at the moment, I think, with Ferrari.
Nice.
To do a series of experiences where we're going to go around the country and give members a chance to do sort of Ferrari experiences and drive different cars. And then we also did a fair amount of stuff in Formula One. We have a relationship with Ferrari where you can get access to the Paddock Club with Ferrari if you want to go to motorsports events. I think every other year, pretty much, we do a Formula One event, whether it's in Monaco or whether it's in the US. And then, I mean, I like cars. I'm a big automotive guy. So I think, anything that we can do sort of around things like that, it's fun. And again, you get members together and it's a passion point for them and they get excited about it. So,
totally.
The other thing I was going to say, we did once in a lifetime trip where we took members to Rome and basically you spent a week driving supercars like Ferraris and Lamborghinis from Rome to Monaco.
Not bad.
And they visited Pagani and all these different places. Yeah. So There's a ton of stuff like that. And there's so much stuff that we can do
Amazing.
with members that are passionate about certain things, whether it's wine or photography or cars or watches.
You also like to fly. Are you doing anything on air besides Sentient?
No, I haven't flown for a while.
You haven't?
Sold my plane.
You
a couple
sold
years
it?
ago. Yeah, I sold it. I just honestly, flying is one of those things I find that you have to do it a lot, and you have to fly pretty much every weekend or at least a couple of times a month to sort of keep your hand in. So I haven't flown for a while.
Okay.
But we just have great relationships. I mean, we have fantastic relationships with Sentient. Andrew Collins and his team are fantastic. FX Air, Greg and the team are fantastic. VistaJet we work with as well. They've got a fantastic product. So I think that's one of those things that it's a great reciprocal sort of a relationship. I would say about 25% of our members probably fly privately.
Okay.
So it's not like all of them, but it's enough to make a difference when we have some really good partnerships. And again, it's the same sort of principle. If you have a really good relationship with a partner, and you know they do a good job, I just feel really good about presenting that to our members.
So, and you had mentioned earlier in our conversation about how you do have boots on the ground. You have people, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
When you arrive at one of your either assets or a partner property, right? So somebody's greeting you at the airport, whether you're flying into FBO or the terminal, and arranging transportation, taking care of every need, right?
Yeah, we take care. I mean, one of the things that we don't do flights ourselves. So our expectation is that members will get to the location of the resort themselves. Honestly, it's too many moving parts in that for us.
Yeah.
When you think about, we will book flights. So we have a travel desk that we work with, and we partner with Internova on that.
Okay.
They do all the back end stuff for us. So JD's team is fantastic. So we can get members good access to flights and good rates and good seats and things like that. And then the private aviation partnership that we have as well works really well. We do some work with Tradewinds too, which has been good. We want to outsource that sort of stuff because they're things that are really not in our control, and it just creates too many moving parts. So the area where we really pick things up is when people arrive at the destination. So if it's one of our residences, it's when they actually arrive at the residence, and then we take care of everything from that point on until they then leave again. And we'll send cars to the airport for them and things like that. We'll organize rental cars and things for them. And the same thing with the once-in-a-lifetime experiences and things like that we do. We make sure the day before we gather everyone in the Four Seasons or the Mandarin or wherever it is, and we bring everyone together. And then once they're there, for example, if we do the Antarctica trips, we fly everyone into Santiago, we put them in the Mandarin, they're there for a day, then we charter a plane and we fly out to Ushuaia, and then they're with us at that point, and we manage the itinerary all the way from there, and then we get them on the ship, and then the ship takes care of it. So we try to minimize any sort of points in logistics where there is sort of like weak points where we can't really control that.
You mentioned Internova, right? I was with JD and Albert last week with Luxury Travel Innovators, and I'll have David on shortly with Tradewinds as well. But it's funny, it's amazing how from a sense of community, right? We talk about exclusive resorts in the sense of the member community, but just the travel community, right? How small it is.
It's a very small world.
How we all know each other and just go in the same together. It's fun. It's fun. And the innovation, sort of how we can find ways to innovate and help and advance this business, because it's a passion business.
Yeah,
I mean, it really is. As far as the booking process and the technology side of things, you were mentioning, most are booked through the ambassadors. Are you, does anything get booked directly through some sort of portal or mobile app?
Absolutely. So we, about 3 years ago, we embarked on the process to really rebuild that whole technology booking side. We spent, I think $4 or $5 million in building a whole new front end for the booking. And so we have two elements. You can go into our member portal, we call it. So you go into the website, and there's a link for a member access only area. And it's fantastic. I mean, we spent a lot of time building this out. It's there's a huge amount of content in there. The booking is very easy to book online. You can see availability easily. And the other thing, it's like a Netflix experience. So when you go in, we're suggesting things to you. So if there are things that you see, we'll say, well, if you tried this, and maybe you try that, and there are other things that we can do. We also have an app that we continuously evolve. And the nice thing about the app is you can book on the app, you can see availability on the app, you can look at your account on the app, and it's very well done. It's a really seamless feeling. It's very polished. It's very the flow of the app is. I'm really proud of the team. They've done a great job with it. And also with the app now, we have services in destination. So when you get into destination, there's a whole chat function where you can start chatting with the concierges on site, and they can connect with you. And so you can connect with your means of choice, whether it's text or whether it's through the app or whether it's through WhatsApp or whatever it happens to be. But we aggregate all of that on the back end, so the concierge can sort of help you. We try to get people to go through the app, because even when you get into destination, it will hook you up to Wi-Fi and things like that.
Right.
So and you can manage grocery lists and planning and trip itineraries and stuff. So it's pretty sophisticated. And the next phase of this that we're going to do, I'm letting the cat out of the bag a little bit here probably, but we're going to build a whole community forum in there as well.
Okay.
Because one of the things that I think makes the club so magic, I mentioned this earlier, is that members just like meeting other members. And So one of the things I have the ability to do it because I can see who's in destination. But whenever I'm traveling, I'll look and I'll see, well, who's in destination? Who do I know that's going to be there? Who do I want to say hello to? And what we found is that other members would like to have that ability. So if you go to Costa Rica, you have 21 homes, you can take a look and say, well, I know these people, I'm going to connect with them. And the other thing that I think is really nice with that is the idea of when you're going to these destinations, having the ability to connect with members and maybe share experiences. Yeah. Like if you're booking a private ski instructor for your kids, maybe you want to share that with another couple or something, or maybe you want to share a sailboat or something and you get people together. And that's just a small part of it. I think there's a whole area of that that we can build through this community programming that will bring members together through these digital experiences. So that's a huge area of growth for us that I think we've just scratched the surface of it.
And then obviously, like we talked about earlier in our conversation about how you can make it faster through AI, right? So being able to improve that, that makes perfect sense. As far as you here at Exclusive Resorts now going on 6 years, right? What are you personally most proud of?
Oh, a lot of things. I think where the business is today, I'm very proud of that. We've come a long way in the last 5 years where we've got a very solid foundation. We've expanded the business. We've expanded the product significantly. We've grown the experiences side of the business significantly. The business is in a great place. I mean, we do 20,000 vacations a year. We operate about $1 billion plus of real estate. We own $770 million of that. We have a low level of debt. In terms of balance sheet perspective, I think we're probably about $350 million stronger now than we were 5 years ago. And some of that's capital appreciation of properties, but a lot of that's just the fact that we've been fiscally responsible in running the business. And so we're now at a point where we're thinking, what is next for the organization? So I'm proud of that element. I think that said, though, I think the thing that I'm probably most proud of is the team that we have. I mean, we have some incredible people that make my life easier. And it's kind of funny because we sort of joke a little bit internally. I've been here for 5.5 years. And I'm still sort of seen a little bit as the new CEO of the company because the average tenure in our organization is about 5.5 years. The average tenure on the executives in the organization of VPs and above is like 11 years. And so, I mean, I think when I came in, I think I had 2 people when I came in. I was saying this to someone last night that I had 2 people, but everyone else in the organization has just evolved and grown the business. And one of my passions is seeing people develop. I love it. I mean, I love seeing people evolve and take on new responsibilities and try new things. And we've promoted so many people in the organization over the last sort of 4 or 5 years. And I want an organization that is a place where I want to work and I'm excited about coming to, and where people can come and they can get new skills and we work in a fun business. It's a great part of it. But you want to grow and you want to develop. And it's just been amazing seeing the people around me in this organization that have taken on more responsibilities and grown. So that's the thing I think I'm most proud of. I think I'm also really proud of the member community element that we've built, and I think that's something that it was sort of intrinsic within the club when I joined, but I think we've done a lot of work in the last 3 years to kind of bring that out, and we've connected members a lot more through these events. And I think that level of community that we've built, and again, we're just starting with that, but that's something I'm incredibly proud of, and there's so much stuff that we can do then.
Through partnerships, through community, through beyond just travel, there's just an immense amount of opportunity. It seems like it's just getting started.
Honestly, I feel we are. It's because we're also looking at a number of new ventures now. So we feel that when you look at where the business is today, the club is in a great spot. We can probably grow the club 6, 8, 10% per year. And that's just a function of 2 things or 3 things. It's a function of bringing in more members, and that's sales and marketing, and then making sure we have enough product and properties and experiences that will serve those members. And that we're working on really hard in terms of expanding the product area. But when you look outside of that and you look at all the other things that we can do with the amount of money that members are spending outside of the club and the more services we can provide to support their travel in these other areas, I think there's a massive amount of stuff that we can do there in terms of product expansion into new categories and new sectors.
Yeah, because you mentioned it, right? They're only spending still a relatively small portion of their even travel expense at Exclusive Resorts. And so to be able to capitalize on all of the rest of that for them and provide them a holistic single point, right? So they don't have to go and book through these different channels and or find experiences and other, exciting activities and through other channels, but being able to do it all right in one place.
And people are looking for ease. It's interesting because, I mean, when you look, as I mentioned a bit earlier on about the value proposition of what we do, a significant part of that is people that come in and they see the value of the product. They say, okay, if I'm going to spend, when you amortize your initiation fee, you're probably spending $2,300, $2,400 a night on these homes. And that's good value when you consider that. And that's one element of people coming in. But we're also finding that there's another element of people that are coming into the club who just want this seamless experience. They want things taken care of. They want to have great travel experiences where they know it's going to be consistent. They know it's going to be good. There's always someone to call. There's always someone that will fix it if it goes wrong. And every product that we have, you're either in a location where you're being hosted by somebody that is employed in our system or in our network, whether we directly employ or employed through a partner, but they're fully dedicated to us. Or it's a place where we've been and we scouted it. So there's no unknowns, right? And so everywhere you go, you've got that assurance of consistency and quality and reliability. And if something does go wrong, we're going to fix it.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that is very appealing to people that just want access. And even the experiences that if you look at things like the Formula One experiences and things like that, you can probably go and get that, right? If you,
Sure.
you can buy your way into the Paddock Club, wherever you want to go. But you've got to go and find it. You've got to do it. You've got to organize it. Whereas with us, we just plan it. I went to Kentucky Derby last year with Sentient, which was a great experience, which was quite nice to be on the other side of being hosted.
Yeah.
And the greatest part about that was we just were told to get to a hotel and everything else was taken care of.
It's great.
And that's what we provide to our members. We're like, just turn up and everything else will be taken care of. And for someone like me, that is a terrible, the irony of me running a vacation company is I'm not a very good planner, but I like someone to say, okay, this is where you need to be and this is what's going to happen. And this is the thing that we do. We just take all the stress out of it for people.
Yeah. It's the reason that, personal concierges and programs like Centurion exist, right? It just
Exactly
makes your life easier. And being able to get into events that are, like you said, you can probably buy into it, but they're challenging, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's, Wimbledon or the Masters thing, it's just not easy. So it's, especially in the best seats with the full curated experience and food and beverage taken care of and the whole thing, Well, thank you so much, James, for joining me on Luxury Travel Innovators.
It's a pleasure. It's been fun.
Yeah, I greatly appreciate your time and talking shop. We're then to finish with 3 rapid fire questions. It's our signature. So we'll start with the first. What travel personally are you most looking forward to next?
I think I'm actually booked. There's a ship called the World, which is, we have 4 units on the World. And I haven't been on it yet. I've been here for 5 years and I've been meaning to get onto it. And I'm booked next year to do Tokyo. I think I join it in Tokyo and I do Japan, I do Korea on it. So that's something I'm really looking forward to.
Sounds amazing.
And then the other thing, we launched yesterday actually our once in a lifetime experiences for 2026. And there's a series of things on there that I'd really like to do. So, and this year we're doing some amazing stuff, which I'm not sure I'm going to get onto. We're doing a gorilla trekking where you'll be flying by helicopter into Rwanda. That's something I would love to do. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get out to it, but
that sounds amazing.
These sort of bucket list things. So on my list is India is somewhere I really want to get out to, Safari is somewhere I want to get out to.
That'd be amazing.
So in the next couple of years, I'm going to find a way to get on one of these trips.
I know it's never easy, especially when you work and live and breathe travel.
That's right.
We never get to experience it as much as we want to. What do you miss about the glamorous days of travel? The show's all about forward innovation. And so we're going to take a moment and just step back, right? Whether it was the glory days of air travel, right? Where you had that amazing, simple luxury experience where air was truly part of it wasn't just getting there, right? It was part of the entire trip or the vacation. Or was it the, lion stamped ashtrays at the Ritz-Carlton? These things that just sort of don't exist anymore. What would you say is yours?
So I think I'm not sure whether it's my personal thing, but I think we've seen a big shift in the last 4 years in travel. I think that we've gone through these phases where travel was about fly and flop. You go to a destination, you flop down and you just relax on a beach somewhere. And then it was sort of the Instagram generation of how many pictures can I get in certain locations. I think travel's evolved from that. I think it's really become much more about these experiences where it's not about materialism, about things you can pick up anymore. It's about finding time and getting away from some of the digital devices that are around you and immersing yourselves in these experiences. And I think that's really the luxury of travel today. I mean, we see it a lot with some of the things that we do in the trips that we send members on. And it's nice to see people just disconnect in those environments. And again, I think one of the things that we talk about a lot internally is that I think the pandemic kind of level set for a lot of things. I think it was about relationships that you realize how important they were. I think there was a sort of an element of the fact we have finite life, right? Mm-hmm. We talk a lot internally about this concept of 4,000 weeks. So if you live to 77.8 years of age, then that's the average age in America, and that gives you 4,000 weeks. So
including birth. That's from being born all the way through.
All the way through, right? And so you think about that, and then you start thinking, well, how many festives have I got left with my family, my parents, or how much time have I got with my kids? I mean, your son's 5, and that's going to go real fast, right? So you have to think about how do you do those things. And when you look back, it's not the things that you brought home from those trips. It's the memory of that moment on the beach or that picnic you did. So I think that's the luxury travel. I think the glamour days of of travel. I think it's now like of aviation and things like that. It's a challenge unless you fly privately or some of the first class options that are international. But I think really it's about this sort of soaking in these experiences in these destinations and doing things that are things that you're going to remember. And we like to say, Antonio, life is too short for should haves. It's like making the most of these things and doing it now. You're not going to get to the end of your life thinking you should have spent another day in the office.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, that's been the consistent answer across everybody that I've spoken to has been time disconnection, removal of phones, and just slowing down.
100% right.
And it's funny, right? Especially, raising children and everything, like you mentioned, it's you blink and they have sprouted further and further, and it's amazing. So yeah, slowing down is definitely thematic to what we've heard. What innovation doesn't exist today that you think is missing in travel? So it doesn't have to be even purely technology, right? Just what innovative solution, so to speak, could be tech, is missing that you'd love to see?
Look, I think the obvious answer to what we're seeing at the moment is I think this whole AI revolution that we're going through is I think we don't even know what that's going to do over the next few years. I think it's going to change things dramatically. I think it's going to enable us to see things to be able to provide experiences that are much more customized and much more bespoke. But I think in terms of innovations, I think we're almost going to go back to the fact that people want to get away from technology in some way, shape, or form. And I think finding really ways where you can literally go and you can disconnect from things, I think is going to be absolutely huge.
Makes sense. Thanks again, James. Appreciate
It's really
time.
a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Great to see you.